Location. Money aside, you can't invest in Nagoya. Where would your dream home in Japan be? You don't care about investment. You want to just have an awesome home somewhere. Where would that be?
Ishigaki Island in Okinawa.
Okay.
I love scuba diving.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Buying a House in Japan podcast. My name is Joey, joined by my co-host Take.
What's up?
We have a very special episode today. We are sitting in Nagoya in the newborn real estate company headquarters, joined by two very special people. We have Hide-san in charge of newborn here. He has a very interesting background. We'll get into it later in the show. And he is joined by Ron, modern day gladiator and real estate agent here. So I'm very excited to hear both of their backgrounds.
Thank you guys for being here. We're in like this very fancy conference room. It's pouring outside. This is the fanciest, I think, room we've been in to record a podcast.
Yes, both are very fancy. The hotel that we're staying in across the street and this building. Great recommendation.
Yeah. It's your first day in Japan.
Not first day, but we drove down from Tokyo today. But anyways, how are you guys doing? Who are you guys?
We are so glad to have you two guys here in Nagoya.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
And I am the president of the real estate company in Nagoya. And I've been in this real estate business over almost 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But we got the real estate license just years ago.
Okay.
I've been the professional real estate investor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
30 years in real estate. Ron, how many years in real estate?
About 2 now.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah, Hide's been doing investment and owns some apartment buildings for a long time. So he just recently, like you said, got his real estate license, but has a lot of experience on the other side being an investor himself. So I met Hide about a year ago now. Yeah. I was working with another real estate company and I connected with him because it's hard to find places that allow foreigners to rent. So he had a website in English. I called him and actually met him for the first time right in the same room. And we became friends pretty much immediately and just started hanging out and, going out, having drinks and dinner together and started getting customers into his properties. And then it just seemed like a good fit for me to come over to help foreigners because he wanted to focus more on helping foreigners buy and rent here. So
right on. Ron, where are you originally from?
I'm from Kansas.
Originally,
okay. Yeah, small town Kansas.
How did you end up in Nagoya?
I was in Kansas, then I went to Baltimore, and then Boston, Phoenix, Arizona, Portland, Oregon.
All over the place.
And then I started fighting MMA in Portland. And then, long story short, I wanted to fight abroad, and I chose Japan, and I moved here. I was going to be here for about 1.5 years was my plan, and now it's been over 11. So.
Whoa. Okay.
Nice.
We're coming back to the MMA side in a second here. How long? Where are you from? Are you from Nagoya originally?
Yes, I am from Nagoya originally, but I spent my college days in Tokyo and I got a job in there. And I was assigned to the branches in New York City.
Oh.
Then I moved to the Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. too. Then I quit my job.
Nice.
I moved to San Francisco, the West Coast. Yeah,
Best coast, what we call it.
I was born living in the East Coast for 5 years. Then I moved to West Coast. That was a paradise.
I think so too. Californians have it so good over there.
Anyway, I got a job in San Francisco, but my family business here in New Bern. At that time, my father and my brother was taking care of this company, but a bad thing happens.
Yeah.
The company almost bankrupted. Then bankers call me, why don't you come back to Nagoya to take care of this?
Okay.
Then anyway, I came back to Nagoya to take care of this family business. But actually, the family business was not related to anything about the real estate. That was a Japanese restaurant and a coffee chain store.
Oh.
But we got a big debt at that time. Yeah, huge debt.
Okay.
And you turned it around, I heard somehow.
We're sitting now.
You're in the headquarters.
Right?
It took me 15 years to pay back the debt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Debt's gone. You're out?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And then so you said, rewinding a little bit. So it was a restaurant and coffee business? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Is this office the old office or? Was this office already here before? Or?
Yeah, office right here.
Okay.
Yeah, but I canceled. Actually, I sold all the such kind of business, the Japanese restaurant and the coffee restaurant, and I fired 30 people at that time. Yeah, I have no choice.
Laid off.
Yeah, I laid off people.
And did you just switch over to real estate from there? You went from a coffee restaurant business to now you're in the real estate.
My grandfather was a pretty smart guy, and he saved the money and put that money into the rental apartment business, invested on the real estate. And he purchased, I think maybe more than 5 apartments in and out of Nagoya. But my father made a big debt, and I sold most of it. Only I kept had 3 very old apartments, over 50 years of history, and that is my start point.
Okay,
yeah.
Hide-san, I just want to. Being in debt, like inheriting debt like that from a family, do you have any advice? We're starting a business. If I ever end up in a similar place, like, do you have any advice for someone that maybe ends up in a bad position like that? What did you tell yourself when you got in that situation?
Oh, it depends on the person, but I have no choice because there are so many people depending on our family business. But if I am all myself, just get out from there. Just forget about the debt. Just escape from there.
Do whatever you can.
Yes, right.
Run. Stay in California.
Right.
And how long have you been back in Nagoya?
Almost 30 years.
30 years.
Yes.
Okay, so last time you were living in California was 30 years ago?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Things have changed. When is the last time you come back to San Francisco? It's a little bit of kind of a scary city at times now.
10 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. But at the time, still not, very bad place at the time. But I have heard so many things not really good about the San Francisco world.
Still good things, but also some scary things. I think I had some Japanese friends come and visit and been like shocked at some of the sites they see in some of the neighborhoods.
But he's been held up at gunpoint before when he was living in America.
In America?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
One in San Francisco and one in New York City subway and one in DC.
I've never been held up at gunpoint.
Neither have I. Okay, there's a perception that everyone owns the guns, and no, but he did 3 times. What caused that?
Okay, at that time, I was not so cautious about hanging out in the night. I was so young. I was mid 20s. So at night, I just go one smoke, and my cigarette was short, and I have to go to the Safeway to get my new cigarette. Yeah. Then I just walk down, just 100 meters from my apartment to Safeway. And on the middle, a guy just shouted to me, "What? Do you have a right?" And said, "No, I don't have a right now. I'm going to buy the cigarette." And I have a right, and you can buy the cigarette. And he crossed to me, and he pointed to me the gun. And you have a wallet, right? He goes, "Yes." Maybe I have a wallet, but I don't have much cash. And I just gave him the $20, and he said, "This is okay. You can keep it." And he took my wallet.
No.
And, it's in the $100 there.
Oh no. Okay, I see why you hired Ron now. You got the bodyguard, right? Is that you got the muscle behind?
We don't really need it in Japan though.
All right, Ron. I want to shift over to you. MMA. So you moved over here to be an MMA fighter, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. I don't know any MMA fighters in Japan. You're the only one I know.
I was fighting in Portland. I luckily found jiu-jitsu there with my roommate, and that's a whole other story. It kind of pulled me out of a hole and turned my life around at that point. And I immediately got addicted to jiu-jitsu from day one, and then started doing Muay Thai. And then I was like, I want to do MMA. And my coach is like, let's do it. And I couldn't believe it, because everyone's like, he's like, if you want to do MMA, you got to this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to do MMA until I was like, okay, I'm trained. Let's do it. And then had a few fights in America, and then I wanted to live abroad. I loved Portland, Oregon. That's the first time I actually felt like I found a home in America, and I knew I was always going to come back, but I wanted to live abroad, especially in Asia. So I moved to Japan and started fighting here.
Do you still train anything?
I still do jujitsu. I've been kind of out of it a bit recently. I'm almost at my black belt. I should have my black belt by now, but I'm brown belt. But I need to get back into training more regularly. But yeah, I still train.
Gi, no gi?
I love the gi. It's just more technical and it's a lot more fun. I love to train.
We have a customer that actually we just talked to. He wants to set up a jujitsu kind of studio or I guess gym with a Fujisan view. So if that's ever something you guys want to work with him on, I can introduce you. But that's one of our current searches right now.
I used to teach jujitsu in my house, actually. I had a house and my roommate just kind of left during COVID. I needed to pay rent. So it was just enough room where I could train like 6 people max. And I was teaching in my house, which was great. Yeah, it was fun.
Okay. I want to ask you guys about Nagoya. So this is Joey's first time. What keeps you here versus moving to somewhere else, some other city in Japan?
Nagoya is just big enough, and it's not as, if I was younger, maybe I'd want to live in Osaka. Tokyo's a little too much for me, to be honest, but I feel like Nagoya is the perfect balance where it's safe, it's easy, it's affordable. You can get to Osaka easy, you can get to Tokyo, you can get to other places. We do have an international airport. It's just, sumiyasui, like very easy to live here. And yeah, I don't know. I just never left. But 10 years goes by like that.
This is the first place you lived when you moved to Japan?
Yeah, then only lived in Nagoya, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, it's really easy to live. People are nice. There's a really good foreign community here. There's lots of music. Nagoya, I always say, if you want to do something, it's here. You have to go find it. Where other cities that it'll find you kind of thing. But whatever you want to do here, it's out there.
Right on.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Like I went to college in Tokyo and coming back now 12 years later, it's so busy. It's not really the city I want to be in anymore, but I had a great experience in Fukuoka. Definitely the other cities in Japan, I definitely see that's where I would want to be as well.
Yeah. Tokyo is just like walking in mud all day long. It's just, they're so busy. You get off the Shinkansen and it's just a river of people.
Yeah. It's overwhelming. Terrible, right, Joe?
A sardine.
I don't want to complain about
right?
it, but I complain about it a lot. So I'm a little tired of complaining about it. But yeah, it's like the commute from Tama City, where we bought the house, to like downtown Tokyo to, do anything. It's just an hour of painful sardine can.
Especially when it's just hot and sweaty. And what about you, Hide? Why do you like Nagoya?
When I came back from the States for taking care of my family business, I felt like I'm stuck in this city. Yeah, because Tokyo, Osaka, New York City, Philadelphia, so many places. I stayed, and so excited in my younger days. But now I feel like, this is a home. Actually, this is not a countryside. It's a local Japanese city, but still big. 2 million population here. And so it
2 million population.
Yeah, 2 million population, over 2 million. So it means we can find anything we want, like you can find in Tokyo or Osaka. But the options are not many, not limited.
Got it. Is the population growing here or is it shrinking here? I don't know city per se.
It stays the same.
Stays the same. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, right.
Right. It seems like it's booming. You've been in Osaka. Both of you guys have been here for a long time. Like I'm looking out this window and it looks like Tokyo from have these buildings, have these always been here? Have they been rising up a lot faster recently?
Yes. Actually, there are over 10 redevelopment of the city project here especially in Sakai area. And I'm involved in some of the redevelopment projects.
You've been part of some of these, a lot of the redevelopment projects,
yes, right?
Okay.
Actually, this building also the part of it. This building going to be demolished and might be rebuilt.
This one we're in right now?
Yeah, but it's not sure. Not sure.
What happens if you own, say you own this office and they're like, we want to demolish and redo it. Do they pay? Are they going to buy you out, or how does that typically work? I know it's a commercial. We get a lot of questions on the apartment side, but from the commercial side, how does that work?
Usually, of course, the owners of the building involved in that kind of project. And it depends on this owner, how they think about their future. If they want to leave this building to their children or the grandchildren, they want to keep the rights to the ownership. But if they want to just get a cash on hand, they might be just sell it to the maybe big
developers.
Yeah, the developers. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Got it. Interesting. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about real estate. I think Hide-san, you reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I saw your title. It's like you deal with foreigners specifically, or do you deal with everyone, or are you focusing on foreigners for your real estate agency?
Yeah, the reason I started my own real estate company last year to get a license is I really want to support the foreigners. Before the COVID, around 2017 to 2019, I have a friend in the States, and he asked me why he want to buy the property in Tokyo, actually a high price condo or something. At that time, I myself was investing on that kind of a property in Tokyo and Osaka. But I really look carefully at when I choose the property. They don't know much about the property in Tokyo or in Japan. So they just ask me which one is better for them for the investment. But I cannot take such kind of responsibility for them for such a big amount of money. So I just introduced some of the realtors in Tokyo I knew. Then after that, I found out what kind of the properties they bought. They just got a big trap or something.
Oh, no.
So I thought I cannot use my friend to introduce some other realtors. So I think maybe I can be the realtor for them. Then I took my license and I began to start the support for foreigners.
Nice. I've got maybe a little bit of a spicier question, but we have an Instagram page, we have a YouTube, and there's always troll comments, about like, oh, properties are cheap in Japan. You're selling them to foreigners. Foreigners are buying up the country. Do you have any thoughts on what you think of those kind of troll comments?
As a Japanese, I can be honest with you.
This is what we want.
I'll be honest.
I'd love to hear from both of you.
I myself welcome the foreigner buying the property in Japan. I always say that to the other Japanese, even they purchase the property of land, they cannot take it back to their home country. They just all the land stay here and they pay the property tax. So what's wrong about it? If nobody buy the property, nobody pay the tax. So I think nothing wrong about it. But I know some people really care that the land, the ownership is really important for some people. So I understand that. But if you don't like to sell the property to anybody else, it's your choice. Some people really want to sell it. So I really welcome.
Got it.
Have you had people, give you negative comments before about?
Of course, all the time. All the people sometimes really use the bad words, to the foreigner. They can be kind of the invader.
Ron, what are your thoughts?
I support people buying property in Japan, whether you're, Chinese, American, Canadian, or whatever it might be. So, but yeah, I think, just today we were looking into a property for a customer, and their local community is kind of worried that they can't speak Japanese and they're not going to understand, and can't be a part of the committee to talk about the weekly trash pickup or whatever they talk about, right? So there's some apprehension from the Japanese side because this lack of communication.
Was that the seller that had those concerns?
I guess it's the seller's agent.
Yeah, seller's agent. Actually, the seller's agent in the Niigata.
Yeah, one of the customers we're working with you guys, actually.
Yeah, they are really worried about having the foreigner in neighborhood. Actually, kind of surprised for me, even for me. They really sound so nervous over the phone. What kind of foreigner they are? Who are they come from? And I said, they are American guys. Okay, they are American guys. So what's the purpose of their purchasing the property in Niigata, in countryside? They are so scared.
Yeah, it's fine. Again, I've lived here for 11 years, so I'm not going to say I know Japanese people and culture perfectly, because that's probably not true. I don't speak the language well enough to really get that deep, but I've been here 11 years and I know it. And yeah, sometimes Japanese people are shy and they're kind of nervous about communications, right? I don't speak English well, and it's not like other countries where I'm just going to try to communicate with you if there is a barrier. And I can understand that. But yeah, it makes people nervous and it makes people not want to sell their property sometimes.
Yeah, we feel a lot of that friction. And it's tough, right? Sometimes if the seller doesn't want to deal, sometimes they just don't want to deal with a foreigner, and they'll almost kind of find excuses to be like, no, we can't work with you guys. And I think, thank you guys both for fighting that battle. And I know we'll come across a couple of those issues, but curious, what do you think what can we do, or what can a customer do who wants to buy a Niigata, and can they, anything they can do to help their chances? Or anything you guys think you guys can do to increase their chances of letting the seller sell that house to them?
Well, I think Hide does a really good job. Like he says, when he's purchasing for himself, he wants to make sure he's making a good decision. So he has the background of an investor and a buyer. So when he's looking at a property, he knows what to ask and he knows what to look for, right? Oh, I see this online. It's, $5,000 and I want to buy it. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. Oh yeah, it's $5,000, but it's really complicated. You're going to have to put another, 15,000 into it before you can even buy it. He does that due diligence, and it's a lot of work actually, checking every single apartment. So that's what I really appreciate about him, because he's really doing the best for the customer. It's not about making a quick buck at all. It's about, okay, let's make the best choice for.
Is there, so in the States, when we extend an offer in real estate in California, you typically recommend people write a cover letter, a little bit like, hey, this is who we are. They'll put a picture with their family. Do you think stuff like that?
I didn't even know that.
I mean, when I bought my home in Santa Cruz, I did this whole this is my first home. My parents are going to be helping me. I love surfing. And I sent a photo of me.
Out there.
They're like, really? That's how we recommend people to stand out. When a seller is selling to a foreigner, they feel that discomfort of like, is this person just buying it because it's cheap or this area? Or so I think maybe, is that something you think would help convince people?
Yes, I think so. Because I once make some kind of deep description about who gonna be the seller and who gonna be the buyer, and I sent the letter to the both sides, and they really like the opponent.
Okay,
but it doesn't close that deal.
It doesn't close it, yeah.
Yeah, because of they just had a big difference between the price and negotiation.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's something we should consider. Might be helpful. Just even the letter helps us 1% open up the seller. One of the things Joey and I screen for in our first calls is, what connection do they have to Japan? We aren't just going to let people who've never been to Japan come and try to buy a cheap house here. We're trying to figure out, why Japan, what connection, have they been here a lot? Do they have family here? Stuff like that. So could be something we pilot with you guys.
Sure. And I mean, just, if you don't mind me saying so, that's why I really appreciate working with you guys, because I can tell you're doing your work, you're doing your background, you're connecting with people who actually want to buy and who are serious about buying, and kind of setting up the expectations for the buyers to know what to expect, which makes our job a lot easier. It's tough when someone says, oh, find me a house, or, here's 20 properties to look at.
Yeah. I want to see them all next weekend.
Yeah, that makes our life hard. And I think you guys do a really good job of, this is the 20, let's get it down to 10, let's get it down to 5, and then come to us, and then we can give our opinion and do our background on the 4 or 5 left instead of all 20 of them, which we can't do, of course.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think the other thing too is there are $5,000 properties in Japan and you can buy them, but it's really not for everybody. And so people that are just coming because they happen to have $5,000 and want to buy a house, we don't want to set them up for failure. It really takes a certain type of person that can pull that off successfully and have a good time doing it.
Yeah. And a lot of the customers that you guys are introducing are connected to Japan and want to be here for a reason and have traveled here and have experience. It's not just like, oh, I've got an extra, $1 million in the bank. I want to buy property in Japan just for the fun of it. There are people, like you said, who are connected.
Building off Joey's statement there, who do you think is the right person to buy a cheap Akiya? Let's say a $5,000. I know there's additional closing costs, but what type of personality would do well?
I think if the person is really interested in the community of the house they placed, and also if they can communicate with them, it's much easier to mingle in there.
Yeah. they're going to have to find a contractor, or you're going to have to, figure out what to buy in the hardware store, because the building materials are different here, right? So there's a ton of challenges. There's no Home Depot here. They have a Japanese version of the Home Depot. So I do agree that you're going to need some Japanese language ability to pull it off.
It's definitely help you to be comfortable staying there.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to have a grasp of Japanese language, because it is a tough language, right? But just to be willing to accept the culture in Japan and kind of understand it a little bit. And like they said, that's a really good point. If you're buying a $5,000 home somewhere, it's probably going to be in the middle of the country. And to be honest, in my experience, the more you get in the country, the friendlier people are.
Sure.
People don't say hello in Nagoya. And that took, as an American who's very talkative and loves to talk to people, that was a hard thing for me to get used to. And it's not even just with foreigners, it's within Japanese people as well, right? I'm not saying Nagoya is bad. It's just kind of the culture here. It's a city culture. But when you go to the country, people are, if you buy a house in one of those communities, you should try to connect with them, right? Yeah.
Even in Beppu, in our little neighborhood in Beppu, everyone comes to, everyone's saying hello to everybody else on the street. And there's like signs like
Chanto aisatsu.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact Japanese, but like aisatsu builds strong community or something like that.
That is so
nice.
not Nagoya, and I love that. It's not. It's like, again, people just don't, when you walk down the street, if you say hello to someone, it's like, oh God, what is this weirdo doing?
Okay. Nagoya is a big city then.
It feels more like Tokyo, where everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. But that's great that you guys are just, people are coming up and saying hello to you in Beppu. I love that.
Curious, Nagoya, what are the areas of opportunity around here?
Nagakute?
That
area.
This is a big city, so there are so many big companies like Toyota or some Mitsubishi electric company or the heavy industry, and many foreigners working for that company.
Foreigners usually buy, or do they rent? I think they probably get a subsidy on rent or something.
Yeah, previous company, I helped a lot of those people out, and they are living well in Japan, but they're not really buying, they're renting, but it's all paid for from the company. They've got 500,000 800,000 yen a month apartment and houses, so but they're not really buying.
Can they use that money to buy if they wanted to?
Have part of their the money they're getting from their companies.
So back to Hide-san, so around those areas, you think are kind of the hot spots still around some of the bigger companies?
Yes. More and more foreigners are getting interested in the international school. So it means they want their children to go to the international school. So that kind of the international school is usually located in the kind of the suburb area, like maybe 30, 40 minutes from center of the Nagoya. And that kind of place is you can buy the pretty cheap house, and also you can enjoy the natures. I think this area actually getting popular for younger generation of Japanese.
I went to kind of an international high school in Shizuoka. Highly recommend if anybody's listening. Going to high school in Japan, I think, was one of the best experiences of my life.
That's not what I hear.
So it wasn't an international school. It was a Japanese high school, and they taught the international baccalaureate program there. So maybe a little bit different, but still, just growing up in Japan in high school, I had a great time.
Cool.
Oh, so you speak Japanese?
I'll try.
Yeah, we'll bust it out later.
Yeah, I try later.
Don't bust it out. You're going to make me feel bad.
What about Airbnb in Nagoya? Are there any, I've heard Osaka has preferential rules. Are there any things exciting minpaku-wise for Nagoya?
Minpaku-wise, in many big cities like Tokyo or Osaka, there are only some area you can do the minpaku business. Some part of the Japanese is restricted to do the minpaku business. So you got to be very careful which part that you're going to purchase the house. Otherwise, after you purchase the house, you will find out, we cannot do the minpaku business here. So especially the residential zone, you cannot do the minpaku. Not many people follow the rules, so it's getting a problem. Yes.
Yeah, all our houses we kind of bought without checking, and we got lucky. They are in minpaku zone, but we got lucky there. You do need to check because you can end up in this situation, right?
And again, that's what Hide is really good at, is doing that background check and making sure, not just trying to make a quick sale and be like, you should have done more research. He does all the research, which takes time and effort.
Curious,
Thank you.
what would you guys say your specialty asset classes? Is it investment condos? Is it ikodate, akiyas? And, is there something you feel like you're really good at or specialized in, or you're generalist?
My specialty is rental apartment.
Rental apartments.
Yes,
okay.
yes. I really love it.
So buying apartments and then renting it out, or is it?
Yes, I usually buy the maybe less than 10 years history apartment, and I buy it and fill it with a tenant,
yeah.
and I keep it 4 or 5 years. Then I sell it.
Oh,
this is my.
Okay, we're interested. Okay.
Are you seeing appreciation gains? You sell it for a higher price?
Yes,
Really?
Of course. Okay.
Even
in now, okay, we're going to talk to you. Let's figure this out.
So many people say not possible to, they're saying prices are going down.
You need to choose the property very carefully. The location.
Okay, interesting.
Are you finding that rents are going up? Rents are going down in Nagoya?
Up, but mostly it stays the same.
It's not crazy. Since I've been here, there hasn't been a lot of increase in prices. There hasn't been a big increase in the economy either. It's been quite stagnant. So you kind of see that with the prices of everything, even just going to the store, the produce, real estate. But, like Hide said, it's location when it comes to real estate.
Speaking of like in prices and inflation, I heard like starting October 1st, they raised some prices. Is that true? I don't know too much about inflation in Japan, but I hear it's present and it's kind of slowly creeping up on the population.
In general, the price of the property getting increased. Yeah.
What have you guys noticed? Matsuya, or I know Gari-Gari-kun, they raised the price stuff. What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, I mean, when I first moved here, everything was pretty cheap, and I remember is 100 yen for broccoli or 100 yen for an avocado. And then there was a 3% tax increase and 3%. And then avocado and broccoli went from 100 yen to 200 yen. I'm like, that's more than 3%, but it's just been so stagnant and there has been no inflation basically since the 80s that they're like, okay, this is an opportunity to raise prices. So there has been a price increase in everything, especially, food, but I still don't think it's as bad as it is in America. America just seems crazy. Yeah.
Sorry, Hide, going back to the apartments, I actually am really interested. And for the most part, I thought buying investment condos and anywhere outside of certain areas, and I guess Nagoya is one of those areas now, typically depreciates. But for condos here, let's say I wanted to buy a condo. I'm a client listening to this. If I buy a condo, how does the property management work? Do you guys help find a tenant? Is that something you guys are capable of, or do you kind of outsource to another company?
We usually outsource the management to other companies. But we have now 6 to 8 apartments in and out of Nagoya. And we just ask others only 2 apartments. And the rest of others, we take care of by ourselves. So it means, if we can reach to the property in distance, we can take care of the management by ourselves. We can help them.
Got it.
The problem with buying these kind of apartments is if you don't live in Japan, it's going to be hard to get a loan, right? And going back to our customers and the people that you guys are also introducing us, it's this group of people that has cash in hand. I have up to 100,000, 200,000, but if you're going to buy an apartment building, that's going to be more than 100,000 yen. So it's being able to get the funding from the bank, which is nearly impossible unless you live in Japan and are working, paying taxes here. So that's a big problem.
We've been trying. We might be breaking through with a couple US-based lenders that might be open to giving us a loan in the US for property in Japan.
I'm excited about that.
Be huge for
absolutely.
Everybody.
Things would go crazy if we could get loans.
That's the biggest hurdle in purchasing in Japan, as you guys know. Customers, there's not a lot of people that have $100,000 cash on hand to buy a property in Japan, but there are a lot of people who would take a loan to get a property in Japan. So.
Typically, how much are property management fees? Let's say you go in an investment condo with this company you outsource. Is it like a 5% or 10%? What have you guys been seeing or charging?
5 to 15% sometimes.
Okay. Do you know people that manage like monthly rentals as well, or monthly furnished apartments? Is that something you guys have experienced with?
Those are the short-term rentals for the monthly. It's hard in Japan, and we get a lot of those requests actually because they see, okay, there's a 60,000 a month apartment. I want to rent it for 2 months. well, we can't really do that. They're called serviced apartments, right, in Japan. And those are typically going to be twice as much or even 2.5, 3 times more than you would pay for a normal apartment. The short-term rentals, again, since the Airbnb thing kind of popped, that got even harder, right? So people don't want to pay 300,000 yen a month for an apartment, but that's what a lot of people have to do sometimes. And we'll do short-term, but only special, like certain cases, if we can vet the customer and they're kind of okay with the agreement. Even then, it's like 6 months usually minimum.
God, we've been seeing like a lot of those digital nomads. I know Japan just opened the digital nomad visa, so I think that's the reason we ask of kind of that monthly rental, kind of furnished place. I think is something that's growing. We're maybe even trying it for our Tokyo place, but still struggling a little bit.
Yeah, that's a tough one, trying to get those short-term rentals for people, because I want to help people out too, right? I was just talking to a woman who was trying to get a place for her daughter and just can't help her.
Yeah.
Because if they it's not the minpaku. If you want to rent a house more than 1 month, it's gonna be the general lease contract you have to make it. So it means we have to make the contract. So it takes time and the effort to close.
Do you need a real estate, so for our Tokyo property, we're hoping to find a digital nomad to come maybe for 2 months at a time, 3 months, etc. Do we need a real estate agent to create that contract for us? Can we just chat GPT something or
Good
no?
question. Good.
You got to have the license.
We have to make a contract.
Okay. A licensed agent needs to make the
It's gotta
contract.
be licensed.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what we've done. The short term, it's usually, a contract, but then it doesn't always make sense for the customer because they got to pay the cleaning fee and they got to pay the deposit sometimes. And then there should be a guarantor fee and all these other things. That's a whole other conversation when it comes to renting in Japan.
But if the person is looking for the place to stay, go directly to the owner of the property. You don't need to make a contract.
So I'm talking about our specific case, right? So we're the owners of the property. We don't need they can just pay us cash, really, I guess.
You don't need any contract.
If you're listening to this, we have a sweet apartment or house in Tama.
Okay.
Also, you guys do, if you guys want to come up to Tokyo for a little bit. So we don't need a proper rental agreement for that kind of, okay.
That's I'm
off
unclear.
record, maybe off record.
Yeah, I'm unclear on these kind of things too. So I'm like, really? I need to learn more about all this stuff. Japan gets a little convoluted and
Yeah.
Shihoshoshi's.
Yeah.
So speaking of Japan being convoluted, especially in real estate, what kind of advice or common pitfalls do you see foreigners on their first home purchase? Like what things do you see them struggle with? Or what things do you wish you could tell them before they even start the purchase?
First of all, even they can find property information on the internet. You cannot go to the realtor.
You can try.
And us, we are the Japanese realtor, and we find the property information on the internet, and our customer interested in that property, particular property, and we make a call to them. Then they say, sorry, this is under negotiation. Of course, they want to get a both hand fee.
Yote, big hot topic.
Yeah.
Sometimes they lie to us, right?
Yeah.
And they'll say like, oh, it's under negotiation already, but it's not. They just don't want us to do the purchase.
Interesting.
Do you think, so with our Tokyo property, that didn't happen, but they said, oh, it's under negotiation, but this person, maybe they can't get the loan approved by the bank. You're second in line. Do you think that they could have been lying to us just so that we didn't negotiate?
Actually, we don't have the custom for bidding the property over the price. So when they say it's under the negotiation, it means you have no chance.
Really?
Yeah, usually
First come, first serve.
And even if it's under negotiation, you say, hey, I'll pay, 1 million yen or 5 million yen on top. It doesn't matter.
We tried that, didn't work.
But I will say, just today we were looking at a property and then Hide's like, I don't think this is real. It's not a real property. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I think it's just kind of a bait property to get people in and then say it's not available. Why don't you check out these properties?
Oh, tricky.
That's interesting.
And that usually doesn't happen in Japan that I know of, but evidently it does. Because he's like, it doesn't exist. I cannot find this property. They're telling me to go directly with the owner and they're not going to work with us. But anyways,
like too good to be
funny.
True property. Like
it's not even too good to be true. It's just a normal property. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I still don't almost believe it, but I have to because he's like, it's not a real property. I can't find it anywhere. It's a real, but it's not for sale by anybody.
So as a foreigner, we have a lot of people obviously on AkiyaMart. We put the Japanese realtors website. A lot of people will try to chat GPT and send a message, and obviously doesn't work, right? It's really a phone call from one of you guys is the best route. Is that what you're saying?
Basically the only route, I think.
True.
I mean, because we've talked to, we finally get somebody that's, okay, I'm interested in this property. And then we call them. They're like, oh, yeah, some foreigner with this name is trying to talk to us and we don't want to work with them because it's Mendoza. It's too much of a pain in the butt. And that's the person coming to us. So they'll try to do it first by themselves. And then it's almost impossible because if you don't speak Japanese and there's so much information and all these details, they're contracts, even in Japanese, it's complicated. Mm-hmm. So if you can't read kanji, then it's almost, I don't know if any realtor that doesn't, focus on English speakers or foreigners, I don't think they will work with you at all,
I think the best way for foreigners to first contact to the Japanese realtor is to send an email.
Really?
In Japanese. So you can write that in English and translate it to the Japanese using the AI translator. So it might work for them.
We've had a couple like crazy customers who just like in English and we're like, no, you just ruined your chances, man. Like
but that'll only trick them for so long. They'll eventually be like, okay, this person's not Japanese. And then you'll eventually have to go to a realtor that's in Japan, almost guaranteed. Mm-hmm.
But so if, let's say I'm a customer and I found this perfect property in Nagoya and I want to maximize my chances, I think from our experience, what I would recommend is going through a Japanese speaker from the first step versus emailing with ChatGPT. What do you think about that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because a lot of it's, again, first come, first serve. And I'm even surprised, how this person wants this property and then the next day it's gone. And that happens a lot. And I'm like, is this just right now? Is there a boom going on? And Hide's like, that's the way it's always been. That's the way it always is. It's like, if you want a property, if you really want something, then go with the quickest route from A to B. And that is to go through a realtor because it could be gone tomorrow. It happens too often, to be honest.
Totally. And putting myself in the seller side is saying like, hey, I'm Hide from this real estate agency. All of a sudden the seller knows like, okay, this person knows how things work. They're Japanese. I think that's a psychological, like I would not respond to a whole bunch of spam from a random person, I'd say.
What about timing the market? We were just at a real estate conference in Tokyo and we gave a short talk and someone asked me and Taki this question. If prices are going down, which maybe they're not, Hide, but if prices in Japan are trending downwards over time, which was kind of the general sentiment at this conference, why buy now? Why not just wait 10 years? Do you have any thoughts?
10 years?
Or 5 years?
Okay. If you can buy after 10 years, you shouldn't buy that one. But usually the property is only one. The one you choose is already gone when you want to buy it. So if you want to buy the property right now, you should better buy it. And you don't need to think about the depreciation of the property because I always think about the income gain instead of the capital gain. Of course, I expect capital gain when I buy the house.
Yep.
But usually I first think about how much income gain I can get. So in that case, I don't need to take much risk to buying the house.
A lot of our customers are looking to buy a house. It's almost an emotional decision, lifestyle decision, and Joey and myself included. We're like, we want to buy this because we just want to own it. I'm curious from that perspective. Yeah, I guess the argument is like there's more and more Akiyas coming up every year. They're trying to figure out, okay, the yen's at this rate. There's going to be more supply. Is the price going to go down even more, you think? Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, we're seeing from our site a huge boom of people interested in the space. So there's all these different variables. I guess, Ron, what's your take on it?
Like Hide said before, it's all about location. If I was literally offered a free house, and you hear this a lot, right? Mm-hmm. It was my wife's dad's friend, and it's in the middle of Nagano, and I'm looking where it's at, and it's like an hour and a half from the nearest train station, so you have to drive, and it's dilapidated and it's got a lot of work. I'm like, no way would I ever buy that, right? And that property is not going to gain any value at all, right? So if you're looking more in the city, especially in Sakai, you were talking about development and things that have changed over the last 10 years that I've been here. It's been crazy. It's just like this new building, this new building, this new building. So the way I see it, just from what I'm seeing with my eyes, it's got to be appreciating, and it slowly is. But yeah, I think it's just buying in the right place. The people we deal with are more want a second home. They want a place that, they have a part of their heart is in Japan, and that's why they want to make a second home and be here. If it's more investment, then that's, probably have to think about that more. But, just buying the right location.
Yeah, and also I want to say that the buyers should not put too much money on the old house to improve the
renovations.
Some foreigners invest too much on the old house.
Yeah. We're learning. We're learning this.
So even you put the amount of money to the property, you cannot expect the appreciation of the property with that money.
Yeah, the values in the land here. It's like, the house from what I've learned from work with Hide is like the house is almost worth nothing a lot of times, right? The value is all in the land. So when we're looking at prices compared to other, land being sold, it's like you look at the land per, square meters or whatever, and then do your value. Is it undervalued or overvalued or just about right? But, from what Hide says, the house doesn't actually have a lot of value. I mean, it's got to have some value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I always, when the customer doesn't have any specific property they want to buy, I just ask them to choose the several property, and I look at the land value near the area. Then if the land value is undervalued, so in that case, this is a buy.
Okay. That's awesome. And I think you're one of the first agents that really focuses on that land value and in giving that insight to customers. So I think that's really important.
He does all this work, and people understand like the kind of the background work that he does, and I do, and I appreciate. I'm like, the customers, you're not going to be able to find this information on your own. As a foreign customer who's coming in and trying to buy, you don't know how to get this information. Even if you're Japanese, you probably don't know how to get this information, but he does it for every single property that we look at.
Okay. Location. Money aside, you can't invest in Nagoya. Where would your dream home in Japan be? You don't care about investment. You want to just have an awesome home somewhere. Where would that be?
Ishigaki Island in Okinawa.
Okay.
I love scuba diving. That's why.
Nice.
I would be, if it was my wife, she would say the same thing. I want to I'm a cold weather mountain guy who loves the rivers, I love the ocean too, but I love cold weather. Even today, my shirt was soaking wet. It's October 7th.
It was hot.
And it's like summer. It's like the middle of summer still. I need cold weather, so I'm going to Hokkaido.
We're in Hokkaido. Curious. Anywhere specific?
What's that mountain town west of Sapporo? It's like this famous kind of ski area. There's tons
Niseko?
Yes, that area.
Niseko's
Like probably
expensive.
I know.
Both expensive choice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. It's going to appreciate, right?
Well, I had a job kind of semi-offer in that town, so I was kind of looking into it, and I was like, dang, this is expensive, but somewhere that's like, I like
the shaking his head no.
Money aside.
Money aside.
Okay. Money aside. Okay.
Money aside. Awesome.
Give me those mountains.
Yeah, you're Yakushima. Is that correct?
Yakushima's my top.
Okay.
Joey, what about you?
I'm curious, Hide-san, do you know anything about those islands? They're part of Tokyo Prefecture, but Chichijima and like Hahajima. Do you know anything?
I know it.
I'm curious. They're like next to Guam or like...
Yeah, but you takes how many hours to get there?
Yeah, 2-day ferry or something.
Yeah, right. No airport.
No airport.
Yeah. Wow, I don't even know about that.
So if the typhoon come, you cannot get out.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not getting on a ferry in the middle of a typhoon. I'll try to survive on the island.
Yeah, but it's gonna be fun.
Yay. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Again, both Hide and Ron are one of our AkiyaMart preferred agents. So we're going to be sending this podcast over to folks. How can people reach you, or would you have a website? Or
we're going to have the website up. Okay. Our email is probably the best. We're on LinkedIn, but yeah, just email. That gets to us easy enough.
Where are we going for dinner?
For unagi.
Ooh, okay.
Actually, it's not the general unagi. It's called hitsumabushi. It's a kind of the local food.
Excellent.
You love it.
Kind of a famous place. They're here in Nagoya. I've been there a couple times, so yeah, you're gonna like it.
We got to
All
drive
right.
like
Oh yeah,
We're
Only
driving.
one or-
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you guys and having you here in the headquarters.
Headquarters.
Honsha.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.